In this video we are going to see how to set up Jenkins on your local machine with the help of Vagrant. Jenkins is available for platforms like Docker, Ubuntu, CentOS, Windows and Mac OS. You can either download Jenkins suitable for your local machine or set up inside a virtual environment. But I personally prefer to set up Jenkins inside a virtual environment if our local machine is Windows or Mac OS. The main reason is not to disturb or mess up the actual environment for the sake of learning and practicing. Also, by this way, we can keep our personal machine clean and not get polluted with a lot of softwares. Here is the card for understanding what is Vagrant and how to set up Vagrant on any operating system. Link for this video will be also given in the description. Let's get started with setting up Jenkins. I am using Windows 10 system with 8 GB of RAM and 500 GB of SSD storage as a host machine and Ubuntu 18 as guest machine for this demo. This Vagrant file will be used for setting up Jenkins on your local machine. By default, Jenkins runs on port 8080. So I am forwarding the 8080 port of the guest machine to 8080 port of the host machine. By this way, we can access Jenkins from our host machine's browser. Here, I have used the shell provisioner in Vagrant to run a shell script which in turn installs Jenkins on the base Ubuntu image. Let's have a look at the shell script. Jenkins needs Java as runtime environment. So we are installing a suitable Open JDK version. Then, we are installing Jenkins. Both Vagrant file and the shell script will be available in my Git repository. Link for this repository will be given in the description. Let's start setting up Jenkins. I am bringing up the Vagrant environment by running the command vagrant up. This command will download Ubuntu 18 box and then install Jenkins by running the shell script. This installation is going to take some time. So I am going to pause this video till Vagrant is up and running. Now we can see that Vagrant is up and active by running the command vagrant status. Let's SSH into the virtual environment by running the command vagrant SSH. We can see Jenkins service is active and running. Also, the port 8080 is in listen state. Let's check if Jenkins is reachable from the browser on the host machine at port 8080. You can see Jenkins is accessible at port 8080. Jenkins being installed fresh and accessed for the very first time, you need to get the initial admin password to unlock Jenkins. Let's copy this path and copy the content in the target file. Let's get inside the Vagrant environment by doing Vagrant SSH. Then become a root user by running the command sudo su so that the var folder is accessible. Now let's cat the file in the path and get the admin password. Now, let's paste the password in the browser and click on Continue. This will trigger the Jenkins UI-based setup. Here you can follow the on-screen instruction to complete the setup. If your local machine is not connected to the internet, you will get an offline page from Jenkins, where you can skip the Jenkins plugin installation and proceed with the next steps. On the other hand, if your local machine is connected to the internet, then you can see this page with the option to install the suggested plugins or to choose and install only the plugins we need. But my personal preference would be to connect your local machine to the internet and install the suggested plugins, so that the initial setup is perfect as suggested by Jenkins. For this demo I am going to proceed with the first option. As you can see, the plugins are started to install and this is going to take some time. Let me pause the video till the plugin installation is done. Now the plugin installation is done and on the next page, you will be prompted to create an admin user account. But for this demo, let's skip this part and set up Jenkins with default admin user. Now click on Continue as admin. On the next page, we can configure the Jenkins URL. Jenkins being set on a local machine, we can leave this to the default. But if the Jenkins is set on any server for production usage, then a proper URL has to be entered. Once this is done, save and finish the setup. On next page, click on Start using Jenkins. Now click on the Admin tab on the right top corner and navigate to Configure. Then scroll to the Password section and reset the admin password. Saving this will log you out of the current Jenkins session. Log in again using the admin as the username and the password you just set. Now the Jenkins setup is done. Let's see how to configure a Freestyle job in Jenkins. In order to create a Freestyle job, click on the new item in the left side option bar. Enter a valid name for your Freestyle job and select Freestyle project. Then click on OK. Now on top of the page, you can see lots of topics like General, Source Code Management, Build Trigger, Build Environment, Build and Post-Build Actions. Under the General tab, select Discard Old Build checkbox. Here you can set retention for your build logs based on number of builds or number of days to retain. If we are going to pass parameter for the job, then we can enable the option, This build is parameterized. Here you can see many types of parameters. For this demo, I am going to select string parameter. Give a variable name under the Name tab which can be later used in our code as variable. Set a default vol and a relevant description for this parameter. For now, let's skip the source code management part, build trigger and build environment and move to build tab. Select execute shell option. Let's print a normal echo statement along with the build parameter defined before. And click on Save. Now click on Build with parameter and give a value for the variable and click on Build. Now you can see the build is being triggered. Click on the build number and then on console output. Now you can see the build is executed successfully and the command is executed along with the value that was passed during the build trigger. You can also pull a code from any source code repository like Git and do some executions on top of the pulled code. We can also save credentials or secrets in Jenkins with various scope for the secrets which can be used in any job. Now let's try to save a credential in Jenkins. Let's go back to the main page and click on Credentials. Then click on Jenkins. And then click on Global Credentials. Here the scope of the credential is global and can be invoked in any Jenkins job that you create. Now click on Add Credentials. Under the option Kind, you can see many options to store different types of credentials or secrets or key pairs. Let's select username and password. Now I am going to save my GitHub credentials, so that I can authorize against GitHub when I try to check out the code in any Jenkins job. Also give a proper ID for this credentials so that this can be referred in the build configuration. Then click on OK. Now go back to the main page and then inside the job. Now click on Configure and navigate to Source Code Management. Now enter your GitHub project URL under Repository URL. And select the credential that we saved a few minutes back. Also select the branch to which the code checkout has to happen. Now navigate to the Build tab, and change the command. This particular demo shell script has the same echo statement that we used before. Click on Save. Now again click on Build with parameter and enter a value for the variable. And click on Build. Click on the blinking ball to directly get inside the console output. Now you can see that my Git repo is being pulled in and the shell script is run with a command line argument, and you can see the execution was successful. You can make use of the Execute Shell functionality under Build tab for any type of execution and commands related to the Linux environment. And this is the most commonly used functionality for a general Freestyle Jenkins job. Stay tuned for more cool videos related to Jenkins. Let me know if you want me to cover any specific topic in the comments section. Until then.